Hey folks, welcome back to HeartGold vs. Crystal. We are here in Ecruteak City, and we are heading out to Mahogany Town. Now, interesting thing, after Ecruteak City, it's basically a split path, and you can take two very, very different sequences of things afterwards. You can either go to the east, over here to Mahogany Town, and deal with Team Rocket once more, and deal with the, technically, 7th gym. Or you can go to the west, take on two different gyms. You can do those in either order. It's pretty neat. You're generally expected to go to the west first, but of course I'm a rebel, so haha. It kind of bites me in the butt a little bit later, but it works out. Anyway, over here we get the TM for Shadow Claw. You don't actually even get a TM at all in Crystal, you get like an Ultra Ball or something. So this will be hopefully a useful thing to put on Sandra. It would have been pretty good against Morty, but I didn't realize it was here. And then also this hiker gives you HM4 strength, which you would normally get over in a city to the west in Crystal, but it was moved for whatever reason. Anyway, strength is a good deal stronger than Vice Grip. It's 25 base power higher. So it's basically the best physical normal move that Klaus is going to get, most likely. There are better ones that he can learn, but they're better put on other Pokemon. And anyway, we can surf over here. There are two ways through this route. You can either go through Mount Mortar, which is the giant and confusing cave, and I think you need Flash to get through, or you can just surf. The choice is yours. I don't think I've ever fully explored Mount Mortar, to be honest. I'm not even sure you can technically get through it at this point without certain other HM moves, but whatever. I'll find out someday, maybe. Anyway, over here we have the trainers of the route. It's a pretty short route when you're not going through Mount Mortar, so let's show off this guy at least. Qwilfish is a bit of a weird Pokemon. It's notorious and notable for being often forgotten, which is a bit contradictory, but whatever. It's a water poison type, being modeled after pufferfish, which can be poisonous if improperly prepared. And generally, it's not very good at all. It's really cool, but it doesn't have any evolutions, its stats aren't great, its typing isn't great, its move pool isn't great. So, yeah, unfortunately, not the most useful thing in the world, and unfortunately I can't imagine it getting an evolution that wouldn't look really, really dumb. Anyway, Sandra would have taken care of that in, a pretty timely manner if that dig didn't miss, which frustrates me, because I don't like it when my Pokemon faint. And Qwilfish can be annoying for one other reason, other than me being kind of underleveled at this point. It can be annoying because it has the ability Poison Point. At least some of them do. I'm not sure if it's the only ability it can get, but it can, and that's bad because your Pokemon get poisoned. Poison is not a fun thing. Yep, there's Poison Point. And if you don't know what poison does, it deals damage to you every turn. That's basically it. See, this all would have gone down a lot easier if Sandra hadn't missed that dig. But that's what happens when Qwilfish uses Minimize. And that should take care of it. Down it goes. It's a weird thing. You run into one of them in the game, unless you go out looking for it. So it might catch you off guard, but it probably won't end your game or anything. And then we got a couple other trainers on this route. Not a whole lot notable about them. That guy is, I think, the second stage Nidoran evolutions, and this guy has some ground types that nobody really cares about. So let's go over to Mahogany Town, a very short trip, not long enough to justify an entire episode, So, we will also be going up north of Mahogany Town. There's not actually much we can do in the town itself. So we want to head to this route up here, to one of the most scenic locales of the Johto region. And there are plenty more trainers on this route, of course, so that'll be fun. Now, there are two ways to go up here. You can either go through the grass on the left, or you can go through the building on the right, but there is a toll to get through there, so that's no fun. Anyway, this girl has a Clefairy. I registered a phone number, just because I was in a good mood at the time. That didn't last. But I also wanted to see where that Clefairy might end up in the future. This kid, not so much. Oh, and look who it is. It's the mother. Yeah, just to tangentially remark on this, since she brings up go to the nearest mart to pick up the gift that she bought you, there isn't actually a mart in Mahogany Town, and that's actually, I found that really annoying, because I wanted to buy items for the inevitable gym battle, but I had to go all the way back over to Ecruteak, which sucked. It was the longest trip. But yeah, minor complaint there. I don't need max ether here. This is a useful item. Fully fills the PP of one move of your choice. Not quite as good as elixirs, but they are in limited supply, and they'll do when you don't have a Pokemon Center. Now then, we have two pretty cool trainers coming up right here. This one has a Slowbro. Slowbro is actually kind of really dangerous at this point in the game. It may be only level 20, but it's water psychic and it has really good defenses. It's not the king of defenses, but its physical defense especially is really high. As you can see, that was super effective. So you'll want to use special moves on it, but that won't be that much of an improvement. This is one of those Pokemon that you kind of need to take care of either through attrition or through fixed damage moves, like Nightshade. Unfortunately, Webster is weak to Slowbro Psychic-type moves, so I don't expect Webster to be able to last very long against her. Or against this guy, rather. Trying Solar Beam. We'll see if it works. Solar Beam would be super effective, along with Stab, and it's just a really strong move. But Disable managed to disable the second turn of Solar Beam. I think that's pretty hilarious. I don't know about you. But luckily, Frida is fairly resistant to anything that Slowbro can dish out. Slowbro isn't exactly an offensive powerhouse, so should be able to get this guy through attrition, since the Grass type will resist the Water type, and the Psychic type resists the Psychic type. Also, getting extremely lucky with Bullet Seed does not hurt. But yeah, this, it may not be the most challenging Pokemon, but it's certainly going to stick out in your memory. It stuck out in mine, anyway. Good lord, those Bullet Seeds are not doing much anymore. Also, I used up all my luck on that one fight. Or on that one round of Bullet Seeds with the 5 and the 2 crits. And there you go, Slowbro goes down. He's a dicey guy. Anyway, that takes care of the first part of this episode. Check out the Lake of Rage after this commercial break. Alrighty, we're almost to the Lake of Rage. We just have one more trainer to get through. And he's also a pretty cool trainer, but for the sake of diversity and since there's actually something notable about what happens in this battle in Crystal, let's show it in Crystal. He has a Nidoking, which is the final evolutionary stage of the male Nidoran, and it's a poison ground type, which is really cool. I love Nidoking. It's really, really cool. And I especially love this sprite, the gold silver crystal sprite, because it shows how bulky and manly it is. It's all muscular and kind of like battle armor. Like, he usually looks pretty cool, but sometimes it hides the true manliness of his being. Anyway, since he's a poison type, you can use ground type moves, you can use psychic type moves, and since he's a ground type, you can use water and ice and plenty of other things. He's not the most defensively amazing Pokemon in the world. He's just really badass, so yeah. And he's also a third stage evolution at this point in the game. You can be fighting a level 19 third stage evolution, which is entirely legal, shortly after fighting the fourth gym, which also had a third stage evolution that was entirely legal, but shut up. Anyway. Reason I showed it in Crystal is that Frida, at level 19, learns the move Confusion, which is a Psychic-type move, and is a hell of a lot better than Barrage, and anything else Frida had at this point in Crystal. Unfortunately, in HeartGold, Frida's gonna have to wait till I think level 27 to learn Confusion, which sucks. Still, worth noting that, that Frida has it. It's a very useful move, especially against Team Rocket. Anyway, he poisoned somebody in HeartGold. That cur. My poison class. That cur. Anyway, the reason for this trip up here is the Lake of Rage. It's a giant lake, and what have we up there? Let's see what that is. It's a Gyarados. It's the wrong color. This was a big frickin' deal back in the day. It was such a big deal. So, again, for those of you not familiar with Pokemon, normally Pokemon are a certain color. In the second generation games, they introduced alternate colored Pokemon, or shiny Pokemon as they came to be known. That would be a completely different color, and would have sparkles and stuff. And basically no gameplay difference, except I think maybe in the in Gold, Silver, Crystal, shininess was dependent on a certain set of stats or something, and they could be weaker. I don't really know. But the point is, these Pokemon normally have a 1 in 8,192 chance of appearing randomly. There are ways to make them appear more frequently, such as messing with a random number generator, or doing this thing called chaining in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. I think there might be other ways too. But the thing about this red Gyarados is that it's always red, and it's basically there to introduce the concept of shiny Pokemon and make sure everyone knows that they exist. And it helps that red Gyarados looks really, really, really cool. And funny thing, back in second generation games, everyone had a red Gyarados because it was part of the plot. But then, in the transition to the third generation games, since you couldn't transfer Pokemon from second to third, it became very, very rare again, as rare as any other Pokemon. Then in the fourth generation games, you could get shinies much more reliably by chaining, but you couldn't chain Magikarp or Gyarados, so it actually became more rare than other Pokemon. And then HeartGold and Soul Silver came out and it became common again. But still, it's gone through an interesting life cycle. But like I said, it doesn't have any stat advantages or anything over any other Gyarados. It just looks really, really cool. So basically what I do, I don't remember the last time I actually used it on my team, but it can be useful. It's at level 30, I mean, that's much higher than any of my Pokemon right now. But basically what I do is I will always catch it and use it for HM purposes, because it can learn Surf, it can learn Waterfall, it can learn Whirlpool, and I think it can learn Strength too, although Strength is already on Klaus. But point is, it's actually really useful in whatever way you want to use it. And it's really cool. It's really, really cool. See how cool that is. It's so cool. God, it's so cool. You don't even know. I think that, the in-universe explanation for why this one is red is that it retained the pigment from its Magikarp form, so it remained red rather than turning blue. At least that's what it was in the anime. Like, it was forced to evolve too quickly, so it didn't change the pigment in its skin. And that sort of ties into a certain thing that is happening in the plot right now, but for all we know, this is just 1 in 8,192 Gyarados here. That's and it happens to be red, you know. Anyway, because it's a Gyarados, it can actually be pretty tricky to catch. It's not the highest catch rate in the world, but got it. And if you must know, I got it in Crystal as well for the same purposes. It's the atrocious Pokemon. I love it. So cool. So cool. Gonna use one sometime. And it will give you the red scale. The red scale is a thing that can be traded to a certain NPC to get a certain other item that's actually useful. We'll see that in a little bit. Anyway, this guy is Lance. He's a trainer just like us. You may recognize him. I won't say where he's from. But most people playing this game probably know who he is. But anyway, that takes care of this episode, and I will see you guys next time to investigate the mysterious radio broadcasts.